Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back, welcome back. I'm gonna do something new here. I got a new headset. I'm gonna try to plug this in and see if it helps the audio at all. Because our previous microphone that we had it's just very quiet. We've been dealing with that problem for a long time. So I just want to see how this works. Give me 1 sec. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the stream. Alright, let's see how this sounds. Give me a quick second here just to do a mic check. Let's see how this works. Give me 1 sec. And then we'll go ahead and get started with the stream. Alright, let's see how this sounds. Give me a quick second here just to do a mic check. Alright guys, I think we are good. What's going on? Welcome back, everyone. My name is Tradeaverse. And pretty much in the video today, guys, we're just going to be breaking down our new bot that we have created. So I was going to do this in a single video. I ended up recording the video 3 or 4 times, and they were all over an hour. And it's just super hard when you're trying to make a video because you're trying not to screw up. So I figured it's easier to do this on a stream. I can answer questions live, and we can go from there. So I'm going to jump right on into this because it's going to be a little bit of a long video. Now, I'm going to start with the absolute basics. So before we even start talking about setting the bot up, let's start explaining how it works and what makes our bot different from everyone else's. Okay, so in a traditional bot, essentially what happens is you'll have a code, right? So let's say you have a buy or sell signal that comes up on TradingView. So normally starts with a signal from TradingView, right? That signal is then going to get converted into some sort of a message. Inside of that message, there might be a an identifier of whether it's long or short. There's going to be a position size, so how much money you put in. There's going to be a time that that trade was placed. There's going to be a ticker. All of this information is going to get put into what we call a JSON. So there'll be a JSON file, which is just a computer language, which is really good for kind of breaking down that information to make it super accessible to other programs that are trying to read that code. Now, once that file is then created, this ends up getting sent to your automation platform, right? Whether you've built your own or whether you're using 3 commas, Wonderbot, Bitscap, whatever you guys are kind of using to automate, then that message is going to get sent over to your botting platform. And then from that point, they're going to read the message. They're going to figure out all the information that was in the JSON. And then that is going to go ahead and get sent over to your exchange. And then your exchange is going to read that same message and then eventually place your order. Okay, so it's a few steps. The good thing about APIs and doing it this way is they're normally relatively quick and they're normally relatively safe, which is really good. The bad thing about APIs and using exchanges is what I don't like is you're passing your money to so many people. It's like I'm passing my information from TradingView over to my botting platform. Then I'm passing my information from my botting platform over to my exchange. And then I'm passing my information from the exchange to their algorithm. It just seems like there's a lot of handing the money around. And that's something that me personally, I just don't like, because all it takes is one person to screw that up or one person have weak security. And next thing you know, your account's gone. Your transfer that you put in or your position that you got put in, it can get easily hacked just because there's so many chains that got to kind of hold the fence together. And if, you got one weak link, then the whole thing's done. So I don't really like that approach, but it is definitely there. The downside also is that on an API, you can only use what your exchange allows you to do. So even though you've placed in all this information on TradingView, like, yeah, I want to trade this ticker, I want to do this entry price, I want to do this leverage. If your botting platform or your exchange, if their API does not allow futures or does not allow certain tickers to be traded, there's nothing you can do about that. Even though manually you can go ahead and trade it, on the API, it can't actually do that. So if you want to trade leverage and they don't support it, even though it's on your exchange, then you can't do it. And it's kind of stupid. Why even have that, right? So what I've gone ahead and done was, okay, is there a way that I can make some sort of automation where I don't need an API, I don't need a third-party source, and I could actually just create a robot that would open up my exchange the exact same way I would and start placing transactions, okay? And that's kind of what we've done now. So to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on how this works. So in order to have a robot do everything that we do, it needs to be able to do everything that we can do. So it needs to understand what candles are. It needs to understand how to read colors. It needs to understand how to send messages, type, text, interpret information. It needs to do a lot of things. So basically from the start, what we've done is just used, I've tried thinking of this the easiest way possible. How can I make a robot buy or sell in the easiest way possible? And for that, I just said, well, let's detect colors. Let's say if it sees the color green, it's going to long. If it sees the color red, it's going to short. So over here, we created the AI. Essentially, I was teaching it how to look for the color green, and it marked it off in this black box. And then obviously, as we get farther on, I taught it how to look for green and red, and it kind of started filling in those areas of where it actually detects that color coding. So now that it knows how to read color coding, what we've done from this point is you can run any strategy on TradingView, which is really cool. Any strategy you have on TradingView, as long as it's color coded to the colors that the bot can read and interpret, it can run any signal you have. So in this case, I have a really old script from a long time ago, and I'll just show you guys kind of how you would set this up. So what it'll do is, because we're looking for colors, red or green, it'll look for specific colors, whatever specific color of red or color of green you set up. In this case, I just go to the highest vibrant green possible and then the deepest red that's possible. And the color codes on that are just 0, 255, 0, and then 0, 0, 255. So pretty much just the deepest color coding you can get. So now what it's going to do is, see where we get these long signals? These long signals, you can actually have the bot understand when you're opening a long just by the color. So if it sees the color green, it's going to go ahead and actually place a long signal for you. And then obviously if it saw the color red, we'll go take a look at some red dots. If it saw the color red, it would go ahead and obviously place shorts for you. But in order to do that, it needs to understand that it needs to take a long and a short. So now I've gone ahead and have the bot actually go ahead and look for these signals. So in this case here, Same strategy, these little green squares and red squares, those are actually the circles. And now the AI has spotted them and highlighted them in white so it can understand where those signals are. Okay, once it's figured out those signals, I had it understand that a green signal is a buy and a red signal is a sell. As you guys can see here, it can detect, okay, buy 1, buy 2, sell 1, sell 2. Okay, and notice how it's ignoring some of the other green colors. Look, we have green that's sitting in this command prompt for the code here. We have candles that are green. We have this red sell button over here, the 65,000. That's a red sell button, and it's not picking up on any of that. It's only picking up on the specific color of red and green that we've associated, okay? And then pretty much it's just going to read that signal, and then I've put in hard code coordinates where it will actually open up your tab and then click all the buttons that are necessary for you to place a transaction. So in basic, that's how it works. It really just uses color detection. Once it has color detection, you just automate click points, and it works like a click bot, and it'll automatically click everything for you. Now, let's go over pros and cons of this setup, okay? So what's one of the pros of running things this way? Well, you can run anything, which is the best part. So it doesn't matter if you're doing stocks, crypto, Forex, any exchange that you have, it can run it. As long as you can manually click it with your mouse, the bot can manually click it as well. So it doesn't matter if you're using Binance, Mexi, KuCoin, OKX, Webull, Wealthsimple, you name it. Any exchange on any broker, this will work. Now, I do suggest you look into the rules of your broker to make sure that your account's obviously not going to get banned for using any kind of click bots, because that is something that you need to be a little bit cautious of. I've not found any. Apparently, people said online that it can happen. But what I've actually done in the code, and we'll talk about that today as we're kind of going through all the source code, is I've set it up so every time the bot makes a command, like click here or type this, it actually waits before moving on to the next command. So it looks just like a human interaction would. Instead of it putting everything in within like a millisecond, it would put it in just a little bit faster than a human would, but it looks pretty fluid like a human. So you're not actually going to cause any damage to your exchange at all, which is really important because we don't want to cause any harm to our exchanges. And also at the same time, it's not going to flag your account for being suspicious because it's moving at kind of random speeds, very similar to how a human would type everything in. But do just check with your exchange, make sure that they don't ban any sort of click bots, because what happens is there's a type of cyber attack where, let's say you made 100,000 accounts, and on every account you put $1, and you split that dollar into 1 penny orders, and you had all of them spam the buy button on your exchange. You can actually like override the server for your exchange. It's called a DDoS attack. Override it with information and then shut down the server. And if you shut down the server, then the whole exchange goes under. So that's kind of the problem with clickbots and why they don't like it. But in this case, I mean, we're not doing high frequency trading, so we should be pretty good. Now, so that's one of the pros. It works with anything, any exchange, which is really awesome. The other thing, any leverage you want. If your exchange provides a leverage and you can click it and you can apply it, then you can put any leverage that you want to, right? Whereas other APIs, if you guys go to like 3 commas, Bitsgap, what's the other one? Wonderbot, on Mexi, they have Spot API, but they don't have Futures API, right? So now we're actually able to run futures, which is really cool. Any leverage we want. We can set all of our stop losses, take profits. It's going to be really easy. It's just going to mimic everything that you can do by hand. That's all it's going to do. It's just going to mimic that and do it a little bit faster. So that's some of the other pros. And then obviously it's free. I mean, it costs you guys, I'm not charging you guys anything to get this bot. It costs no monthly fee to run this bot, pretty much. As long as you can keep your computer on, the bot's going to be up and going. And okay, so let's say you're going to use like 3 commas or Wonderbot. If you go ahead and set an alert, you can only set so many alerts for these bots before they tell you to upgrade your account and get the next TradingView version, or even if you're going to do a JSON. So if you're going to do a webhook URL, that requires a JSON message to be sent. They require you to actually upgrade your account to get all these features. You don't need that. Super simple. So really all you're going to need is just any strategy you have. You don't even need it to show like the longs and the shorts or nothing. As long as there is a red and a green, it can detect that. You can also change these colors. I highly suggest you do, just so it doesn't pick up on anything by mistake. You can switch it to like yellow and purple, maybe colors that don't really appear very often on your charts. So I got some stuff in the chat here I want to go over. Viter, glad the audio is working. Welcome to the stream. And Zigzag said, but wait, is the AI set to recognize candle colors or something else? So the AI is right now, this is version 1. It's very, very weak, but it does the job perfectly. I actually have this running, and we'll place an order with you guys right now to show you. But essentially all it's doing is detecting colors. That's it. But it's detecting specific colors. So as long as your candle colors aren't matching the colors of your signals, you're pretty much good to go. But as you can see, I'll show you an example. See the red candles and see the red signal? You think, well, both of these are red, and it's going to pick up on that. And see this red, sell signal up here too? This AI is so good at detecting the color red down to a T that it will not pick up on anything else that is not that exact color. So let's go ahead and pull this up. There's back testing on here as well. So you guys won't just run it and then it just screws up. You can actually preview. I'll show you here. You can do a preview. Let me remove all of these real quick. This is actually the working code. I just want to comment all that out. And we'll run this. And it will let you know kind of what it's seeing on the screen and what you need to adjust. So again, I highly suggest you use colors that, don't pop up on your screen much. This would be like yellow, purple, grays, anything of that nature. But so here you got 3 options. You got run bot, show boxes, and show single signals. So here if we click show boxes, click start now, yes. So it needs you to set your screen size because essentially what it's doing is it's taking a screenshot of your screen every second and it's looking for these signals, just like we would. You take a look at the screen, you look for the signals. The AI is doing the same thing. So I enter the width of my screen, which is 1920, and my height, which is 1080. And what it's going to do right now is it's going to look at my whole screen and try to find where those buy and sell signals are. And you can see right here, it's actually picked up on the sell signal in red. It's also picked up on the buy signal in green that was down here, but it didn't pick up any of those other areas that we were worried about, right? It's not detecting any of the red candles as sell signals. It's not detecting the little red buy order on the left-hand side as a sell signal. It's not detecting the red dot from our Discord link at the Discord link at the top as a sell signal. So it's really, really good at doing color correction. Eventually, what we can do with this bot, which is really cool, is now I can have it detect colors, and this is going to be a totally different thing because I want to actually use this for analysis too, which would be awesome. If I can get it to read numbers, I can get it to compare the percentage movements of the candle with the colors and actually have it fully understand the candles and all of their shapes and start to look for patterns. So it would actually be able to read a candlestick chart the exact same way that we do, understand it, and then make decisions on if it's oversold or overbought based on, how many candles we've gone down, how many candles we've gone up. And then once it learns that basics, then we can teach it about indicators. We can teach it about market anomalies, things of that nature to actually continue moving it forward and progressing, which is really cool. So this is version 1. It's definitely, not advanced in any way whatsoever. It's just really, really basic kind of to get the job done. But essentially, that's what the bot is doing. So keep in mind that this thing is only understanding right now colors. So if you screw up and you have the wrong colors on your chart or it starts picking up other colors, you need to be careful of that. So one thing I suggest is you kind of close out all tabs. Leave nothing open except for your trading view. If your profile picture has a bright red, change it, okay? And I highly suggest even for your buy and sell signals, I wouldn't do them as green and red. I'll show you guys how to change all of that today. But that's kind of it. That's kind of how the bot works. It's really simple. Zigzag also said, oh, it's not looking at the candles. You're saying if you're using something like Market Cipher and we wanted the bot to go long when it gives a green dot. Yeah, exactly. So if you set the color of your Market Cipher signal to a specific color of green, it will look for that specific color of green on your chart. So again, you don't want it to match your candle. You don't want it to match other lines on your indicator. Just make sure it's a specific color of green that doesn't match the other greens. And it's really good. It's not, the tolerance on it is, to the pixel. If you're off even by 0.1 on the RGB value, it will detect it. I can show you guys right here. Here when we had a color wheel as well. So the color of green it's looking for, very, very, very specific, right? You can see there's a green here at 125, 255. There's another like lighter green, almost turquoise at 0 and 255, but it picked up on the exact one that we were looking for and nothing else, as you can see it highlighted in the black box. So it will get this number pretty much to a T. So as long as you set that up, you're good to go. Just make sure you don't have other matching colors. Now you might ask yourself, okay, well, what happens if I turn on all my buy and sell signals and it sees all of these signals on my chart? Because there's a lot of signals here. Let's turn all this off, and let's even turn off the candles just so we can get a really good look at the dots. Look at all these signals on the chart. So if it's just scanning the chart and looking for the red and the green, how is it going to know which one is the proper signal to take? So once we start getting into that development, what I've done is I've taught the AI to read on the screen from right to left as opposed of left to right. So now it's looking from this way onwards, which means that's going to be focusing on this side of your screen, looking for only signals that are here. Because normally when you're on your chart, that's where your candles are going to be updated, right? If I reset this to where it's supposed to be, if we're looking right here, this is where price structure is. So this is where the AI should be taking screenshots and looking. It doesn't need to look at any of this other information. So I've taught it to look at that side of the screen. That being said, you need to also make sure that when you guys run your signals, you cannot have your screen over here or it's going to pick up other signals. You need to hit this refresh button and leave your screen alone. Don't touch it. It's going to update, it's going to move, it's going to do exactly what it needs to do. Don't touch it, leave it alone. Whenever you adjust your screen, it's going to change all of this. So this bot, like I said, there's a lot of pros of it. It's free. It can do whatever you do. It works as long as you kind of got everything set up. You just need to build a little bit of a checklist, which I'm going to post to Google Docs at the end of this video for you guys, so you can see the checklist to make sure essentially what goes on. But ideally, just make sure you have colors that aren't being picked up somewhere else. Make sure your chart is left at the most recent area. Do not touch it. Leave it alone. Let it do what it's going to do. I think you're pretty much good to go. Now let's go ahead and actually place an order here. And then I'm going to show you guys what you need to download, how you set this up, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to open up futures on MEXC. This is where we're going to place our order today. And I need to get this old code back. So for you guys, it's going to be really simple. I just want to show you this working first, and then we'll go ahead and teach you guys about all the code. Really, it's not going to be much for you guys to change. It's really, really simple. Even if you know nothing about coding, it's all copy-paste. There's nothing you need to worry about. So all we're going to do here is we're going to close out our previous terminals. And okay, that should be good to go. So we're going to run. Now, what I need to do is I need to turn on the signals. Now, right now, we actually don't have any signals on our chart. So in this case, I'm actually going to zoom out and I'm going to scroll back just so it can pick up on this green signal so we have something to actually work off of. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to click Run Bot. So remember, we want the bot to look at the right side of the screen. We don't want it to look at the left side. So what it's going to do is it's going to start measuring from the right side to the left. That being said, when I actually run it, it's going to ask you to enter a width proportion of your screen. Let's say your screen size for most people on a laptop or a computer is somewhere around 1920. If you put 1920, it's going to do your full screen moving from right all the way to left 1920. That's going to be your full screen. We don't want that. We want it to focus on just this chunk. So for me, I set my value to about 300. You could actually do lower than this, but this is kind of what I set. And then when you do it, it's going to go ahead and just look for that one side of the screen. So now I'm going to enter my width proportion to 300. And for your height, it actually doesn't really matter. Unless you have like a red exit button that matches the color of your signals, it really doesn't matter. I just set mine to 1080. And then I'm going to click OK. And actually, before I do this, give me 1 sec. Make sure this is good to go. Bring the leverage. Okay, it's at 10x. So now I'm just going to click OK. And it's actually going into MEXC right now, and it's clicking everything for me. See, it changed my leverage to 1x leverage, confirmed everything, placed 100% of a buy order, opened a long position, and just like that, bada boom, bada bing. That's how it works. Really simple. Looks for the signal, you feed it coordinates, it clicks everything for you. Now, in order to make this work on all exchanges, the smart thing that we would do so that we don't screw up is instead of using coordinates, I would actually feed it images of all the buttons on the exchanges, and then it would search for the image and click for that. But because I don't have access to every exchange, because a lot of them here are banned in Canada, I can't even make accounts on them if I want to. Because I don't have access to every exchange, it's impossible for me to do this. So what we got to do is actually put in the coordinates by hand. So we have another script outside of this, which is just called mouse position. There's 2 scripts you guys will get. And on mouse position, when you run this, it's going to open an app for you. Give it 1 sec. There we go. It's going to open an app, and this app actually tells you your X and Y coordinates. It's very small to see on the screen, but when you guys actually run it, it would be fine. So let's say I wanted to click on this MEXC tab. As I move my mouse cursor, you can see my coordinates. So I'm just going to set my coordinates, let's say in this case, to 489 and y27, and then the AI is going to automatically click here. And then, okay, now I need it to click on this open order or click on my leverage. So essentially all you're doing is you're just feeding all the coordinates to it, and then it's going to go ahead and click. It can type, it can do everything it needs to do. But as you guys can see, it actually went ahead and placed that trade for me just based off seeing that buy signal. Pretty sweet. So let's go ahead and start talking about all the stuff that you guys need to actually run this. So for starters, you guys are going to need a code terminal, and you're going to need Python because we've written this language in Python. So the two things you need to download, number one, everything here is free. It's going to cost you nothing to do this. The number one thing you're going to want to download is Python version 3.8.5. You can see here python.org. These are this is where you want to go download your Python version. This first link here, Python 3.8.5, you're going to click it. You guys are going to scroll down, find the download file. It depends on what bit your computer's running, if you're going to run 64 or 32, but really you should be able to download any of them as long as you're running the correct bit. You should be fine. Just make sure you're on version 3.8.5. Okay? Once that is done, download it. It'll tell you everything you need to do. It's really simple. And then you're good. There's nothing you need to do with Python anymore. After that, you need to download something called Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code is actually this editor right here. So what it does is this code that you see is all Python code. And you need Python so your computer can actually understand this language. And then you need this terminal because this is what actually allows you to run the code. Right? Now we could make an app and put it on the App Store and do all this stuff, but it's a huge process and super annoying. So you guys can just learn how to learn the code terminal. It's really not difficult. So once you download it, get everything set up, and pretty much you're going to get the files. When you guys get the files, you're going to download them. They'll come in a folder, and then you're just going to click File. You're going to click Open Folder, and that folder with those files, you'll pretty much just open them up, and you should see three things here. You should see PyCache, bot, and mouse position. So bot actually runs our bot app when you press play, and then mouse position is the one that just shows you the coordinates of wherever your mouse is sitting. So those are the only two scripts you guys need, which is really cool. Now, once you got all of those downloaded, like I said, get your file, load everything up, and then from that point, you should pretty much be good to go. Now, if you run the code and you realize there's an error, it's most likely because you need to download these libraries here at the top. Now, it's super simple. Let's say you needed to download tkinter and it says there's an error at the bottom. All the error is going to be gibberish to you guys, but I might say tkinter. If it says that, then what you guys need to do is you need to go to your CMD, and in CMD, you just have to install all of these packages. So what these packages are, they're like libraries. Or they're like books in a library. So Python is your library. You can go in there, there's knowledge, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But then people write books, which makes it really easy for you to learn knowledge. So tkinter would be code that's all written in Python, but it handles things like setting up the buttons, setting up the text, things of that nature, all of the UI. So it kind of makes it easier for programmers to actually write code. Instead of us programming a whole button, all the graphics and everything, you can just put in tkinter.button, and now you get a functioning button. Right, so in order to install this, you can actually, it's super simple. You can just go online for each of these. I think you guys will only need to install PyAuto, GUI, tkinter, CV, NumPy, and that should be it. You shouldn't have to download import time. That comes on your computer standard, and all these tkinter message boxes, they should come with it too. So if you guys just go online, but I can actually show you how to do it right now, and just type in pip install, because that's the function that you use for any of it. Doesn't matter if you're downloading tkinter, OpenCV, ham sandwich library, whatever. You always type in pip install first, and then you could just type in tkinter, and it will tell you how to actually install it. Most of the time, there's actually just a copy paste, or you can just type in how to install tkinter. The reason I'm talking to you guys kind of like you're dummies, it's not because I think you're dummies, but a lot of people don't know very much about code. And this might be a little bit of an intimidating process. They normally just have a site. But anyways, I'll just show you guys how to do it here. So you open your CMD, which is your command prompt in your computer. You can type in CMD command prompt. And here you're just going to do pip install and then the name of whatever your package is. So for tkinter, it would be tkinter, click enter, and then it will go ahead and download the package for you. So I already have it, so there's nothing for me to download. And then there's another one, which is OpenCV. Corlia, I'm going to pop up our messages just for a sec because I sent that one to you the other day. Right here. So for this one, it's going to be pip install opencv-python. That's all you got to type in. And those should really be the only two packages that you guys actually have to go and download. And then you should be good to go. If you have any other issues, just let me know. Send me a message and I'll tell you what you need to download. But for them, oh, and then PyAuto GUI as well. So for this one, I actually forget the code. How type in pip install PyAuto GUI. PyAuto GUI allows you to like have a bot automatically click things. So you guys can see here pip install PyAuto GUI. You can just click copy to clipboard, go to CMD, paste, same thing. So those are pretty much the three packages. You need OpenCV, PyAuto GUI, and tkinter, and you're good to go. All right, let's go back to the comments here real quick just to get caught up. So Vitter says the possibilities are endless. Yeah, there's a lot that we can do. This is, guys, very basic version 1. I don't even have very complicated neural networks in here at all, but eventually it's going to get to a point where this thing will be able to run your computer the same way you do. It can look at candles the same way we do, look at indicators the same way we do, and you pretty much have your own trading Jarvis, which is going to be pretty sick if you ask me. Now, Zigzag said, okay, you got to come back. You can make an account on any app that you open, get a Playu ID. Yeah, I'm just, for me, man, I could do it, but it's really just the coordinates makes it so much easier. Because if I end up having the AI look for images, here we got a sell signal. If I have the AI actually look for images, let's say Binance updates or Mexi updates or Webull updates or whatever, and they change the image of their buttons, I then have to go back in, get pictures of all the images, feed it to the AI, have it learn what that looks like, have it relocate it. So every time they update their platform, which happens every 3-4 months, I mean, they change the layout of their platform, then I have to go in and reapply all of that. So that is the safer way because then it's automatically looking for the buttons and it's going to click on the right thing. Because right now, it doesn't really know what it's clicking on. You're just telling it, hey, there's a coordinate right here that I want you to click. But let's say the button is right here, but you scrolled your screen down like this. Now that coordinate is still up here, but because you scrunch your screen down, it's going to click here, but the button's no longer there because you moved your screen. It only understands the coordinates, right? So that's the only downside about this. Again, it's version 1. It works flawlessly if you have everything correct. We've already placed in a full order, as you guys see here. The only thing we didn't do is to take profit and stop loss, which we're going to talk about today. But yeah, it's very basic. There's a lot that it can go. And Han Lupo said, hey, cool, Shane. What's up, man? What's going on? So, okay, let's go ahead and start showing you guys how you actually get this set up for your exchange. So today we're going to use Mexi because that's the exchange that I currently use. We're going to close this order, and I'm pretty much going to show you guys how to set everything up. So what we're going to do is, if you guys don't have this source code, join our Discord. There's a link in the description, but I guess I should go to the YouTube chat and paste it in here for anyone new. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So join the Discord. It's also free. It doesn't cost anything. That's the link to the Discord. And then I'm going to paste all the code that you guys need in the lounge, in the public lounge. I'm going to paste 2 codes. One is for the bot and one is for the mouse positions. And we're going to update this every few weeks, guys. There's going to be new stuff coming. So eventually I'll set up a GitHub and it will automatically download. But because we're only really changing one script, I mean, we don't even have to do that. But so these are going to be the 2 scripts here. Just going to check this out real quick. Cool. So you can download the first one, and then here you can just copy paste the second one. And because these aren't files, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go, okay, let's just do this from scratch. You come into the Discord, you see these here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click view whole file, and you're just going to copy and paste this entire code. So you're going to right click, copy. Once you got your Visual Studio set up, you're going to open it up. You're going to click new. You're going to click new file. And then from here, you're going to name the file whatever you want your bot to be called. So let's just say you want it to be called my bot. So you're going to say my bot, and then you're going to do a period, and then you're going to do py. Py in lowercase. My bot doesn't have to be uppercase, it can be lowercase as well. But that .py lets Visual Studio know that you're writing in Python code, and then you click enter. And then from this point, it's going to ask you where you want to save it. For now, I guess we'll just save it into the folder that we already have open. And then there you go. And then you're just going to paste the code in here. And just like that, everything should be working. Now, for whatever reason, if this is not working, if you guys go to terminal, or sorry, if you go to view, go to command palette, then you got to go to Python select interpreter. So if you just put in like type select interpreter, it should actually come up for you. Click this, and then you just got to turn on your Python 3.8.5. You guys can see here I have a bunch of different versions of Python. So if you guys are programmers and you have different versions of Python, then maybe you're running one that doesn't work. So make sure you're on 3.8.5, click it, you're good to go. So now you got that set up. And then we need our mouse position script. The mouse position is going to be the exact same, guys. Go in here, copy paste, open a file, new file, call this whatever you want. You can call it coordinates, mouse position, whatever. Just make sure you put .py, enter, save it to wherever you're going to save it to, and then paste the code. You should be good to go. So I'm actually going to delete this because if you get an error here, if it ever says unexpected indentation, you literally just got to backspace it. That's it. Because if it's code has to read properly, if it's indented like this, it's kind of like it screws it up. It doesn't know what's happening. So just make sure it's flush. All right, so I'm actually going to delete that because we don't need it. And then I'm going to delete the MyBot as well because we don't need it. And let me just make sure. Okay, cool. So once you guys get this set up, I actually have coordinates that are already placed in, and we're going to delete all those coordinates. So let's go over to bot, and let's paste the same one I gave you guys. So when you guys are actually setting this up, you don't need to worry about 90% of this code. Anything that is beyond done, which is around line 52 when you're first opening it up, anything that's past done, you don't have to touch. That's just all the AI stuff. You don't have to worry about that. It has nothing to do with actually setting up anything. So if you want, you can just keep clicking enter and kind of push it away. Now, all you guys really need to set up is here. So in this case, the by actions, we're actually going to remove anything that's inside of by actions because we're going to manually type these out. This is the example I just showed you guys were placed in order. So we're going to close this out. And you guys should have a by actions and a sell actions, and it should be empty, but you should have these two little brackets here to kind of close everything off. Now, up at the top, you need to keep all your imports. Imports always stay at the top. And we're just going to go ahead and make these really close to each other. Cool. So let's start with the basics. Getting the colors for your signals. Our bot is currently using RGB values, which is red, green, blue values. So let's say you're looking for a color on TradingView. There's tons of scripts where it lets you type in the RGB. For some reason, depending on your version, let's say you set up a color, it won't let you do RGB. You got to do this color code, which is really annoying. But if you actually go into PineScript and look up RGB color coding, there's a million examples on really how to do it. If I actually open up this code here, I might be able to show you guys. Actually, I don't think it's going to let me. Nah. There's code for doing, right here, color.rgb. So this is the code that you're actually going to need. I'll post this in the lounge too, to set up the coloring for your signals on TradingView. So you can see here, if we set the RGB value to 0, 255, 0, that's going to be green. And in our bot, you can see that the bicolor is set to 0, 255, 0, the same number, right? Actually, I'll post the whole signals in there for you guys. You just got to change your function for the signals, but that should be the code you need to get the plot shapes. So that's easily how you set your colors here. This one is red, or sorry, this one's green because it's a bicolor. This one's red because it's the sell color. Now, Once your colors are set, you only set two, one for buying, one for selling. And it could be long, short, it could be buy, sell, whatever the hell you want to do. It could be short and then close short. It really doesn't matter. Once those are set, then you need to actually start putting in the coordinates for the bot to click. So right here, we have two examples of how to actually set up coordinates. So the first example is an example for telling your bot how to use the mouse. So here you're going to have an action type. So an action type is going to say, okay, what is the bot going to do? Is it going to click? Is it going to type? Or is it going to wait? So in this case, it's going to click. So type, click, your bot's going to click your mouse, and now you need to feed it a coordinate to click. So this is where we're going to open up our mouse position script. We're going to click play, and we're going to start feeding coordinates in now. So every day when I start my chart and I'm running the spot, what you want to do immediately, pick your time frame where your signals are. Once you're set, you need to always make sure you hit this refresh button, then touch nothing else. Close anything that the bot might pick up on, even if it's candle colors. It doesn't need to see the candle colors, right? Close any reds that might be in the way. If it's your profile picture, if it's your YouTube tab that you have up in the corner here, anything of that nature, just remove that. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to close out the YouTube just so it doesn't pick up on anything that it should not pick up on. Okay, now again, I mean, it's pretty good. If you leave the standard trading view candles, it's not going to pick up on those. So you should be fine. Now that that's set up, you have your trading view open. I have my indicator going. That's it. So now what I need the bot to do is actually click on Mexi tab so I can actually start placing an order. So now I'm going to go to trading view. I'm going to open up our mouse detector, and I'm just going to hover my mouse on the Mexi tab that's open here. So in this case, I just try to find the middle because you want it to click in an area where it's not going to screw up. And at this case, X480 and Y20 looks like a really good safe spot for it to click. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to take this first example line of code, and I'm going to put it in the buy actions. So we're going to start with our buying signals. Okay, so when it sees a buy signal, this is the instructions it's going to do once it detects that. So here for our buy action, we're going to click, and then now we're just going to feed in the X and the Y coordinates that we had from our mouse position, and it's as simple as that. So we'll do, again, 480, and we'll do 20. So here we're going to put 480, and then over here for the Y, we're going to put 20. Sorry, we're putting that on the wrong line. Put this one over here. Now, when you're done with the example, make sure that you put a hashtag. A hashtag will comment it off, which means that the bot won't actually run that code. It's just you can keep it there so you can use it as reference if you need to use it in the future, but it's not actually going to run that code. It's just like taking a note for yourself. So let's test this out to make sure that it works. So if we see a buy signal, we want it to click on our Mexi tab. So what we're going to do now, because see, we can have a sell signal. Let's make sure that it's picking up on the correct signals. So we're going to close out some of this other crap that we don't need. And we're going to start by clicking the play button up here. So now that that's clicked, we're going to minimize our Visual Studio Code window, and then I'm just going to click Run Bot. Start now, yes. So remember, for your width, you only need a little bit of the right-hand side of your screen. I normally do 300. It should be enough. It depends on how many signals you get. I mean, there's a lot that comes into factor, but anywhere between 200 to 300 should be enough. But you can test it. Just go to show boxes. It'll give you a screenshot. It'll tell you at where it's looking at. So in this case, I'm going to put 300. I'm going to click OK. The height, I just set it to 1080. And in this case, you can see as we ran, nothing happened. That's good because it's not actually detected a buy signal. You can see here it says sell signal found in this bottom terminal, but it did not find a buy signal. So because we only put in instructions for a buy signal and not a sell signal, it should do nothing here, which is great. So now we're going to click on this X, which is kill terminal. It's just going to shut down the code. We're going to rerun it again, but now I want to drag it over to a buy signal to see that it's detecting the buy signals correctly, which we can see right here. So now I'm going to open this up, click Run Bot. We're going to do the same procedure. Start now, yes. 300 for my width, 1080 for my height, click OK. And now you can see it's opened our Mexi. So now we know it's detecting the proper signals and it's clicking on our tab. And that's how easy it is for it to click, guys. Literally, you just, once it's got the color code, all you need to do is just keep feeding it these coordinates. So that's why I said it doesn't matter what exchange you're on. You just feed it coordinates and it will click on pretty much anything. So now we're going to go ahead and keep going through the rest of the areas it needs to click. So now that we have MEXC open, what I need to do from this point is decide if we are opening or closing an order. So in this case, we're going to open an order. So I'm going to feed it the coordinates to open, which is going to be, we'll do 16, 16, 10, and 240. So now we're just going to copy and paste this, 1610 and 240. And now from this point, it's going to click on the MEXC tab. It's going to click on open order. Now we need it to set our leverage. Okay. So in this case, because we're opening a long position, we need it to click on this isolated button here. So same thing, we're going to look for the coordinates. We'll do 16, 20, and 300. So we're going to copy paste this. 16, 20, and 300. You just want to try to get it into the middle the best that you can, right? And then after that, okay, I'm going to leave it at this for a second because I want to show you guys something. Right now, the bot is just clicking, and it's clicking as fast as it possibly can. Remember what I told you guys at the start of the stream. You don't want to provide damage to your exchange. And the other thing is it doesn't matter how fast the bot clicks. Your Wi-Fi only moves at a certain speed. So let's say you're opening MEXC, but it takes half a second for your computer to open it. If you don't set a delay in between this, it's going to make a click like every 0.1 seconds. So it's going to finish the whole sequence of everything it needs to click before your MEXC or your Binance or your KuCoin even opens. So what we need to do is actually add a delay, which is going to pause this from happening. It's going to click, it's going to wait 1 second, it's going to click, it's going to wait 1 second, so on and so forth. So in order to do this, I'll get you set up, Kata. No problem. So in order to do this, I just got to find the code that we posted, because I've now deleted everything. We need to, right here, we need to add a pause. So every time we click, we then need to add a pause after every single time we click. So the code for this is going to be right here. You guys can type this out, or I'll actually paste it in the Discord. This should actually have been saved into the script, so that's my bad. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to paste this into the Discord lounge as well. And I'll post the full code, but it's going to be different for you guys. You got to go in and change your coordinates a little bit. There we go. So with this one, the type of action it's going to do is going to be a pausing action. So it's going to wait, and then here it has a duration, how long you want it to wait before it goes on to the next action. So in this case, 1 represents 1 second, and that's what I suggest you do. Don't go much faster than this unless you have super fast Wi-Fi. You know, I got away with 0.75 or even 0.5, but unless you're doing high frequency trading, you don't need it to click that fast. 1 second is more than enough time per click. It's fast enough for what you need to do. It's way faster than you can type it in by hand, and it shouldn't cause any problems. So now we're going to take this line, we're going to copy it, and after every single time we do a click, the cool thing about this is it's just copy paste. It's going to be the exact same after every click. So we're just going to add a pause after all of those. And then I'm going to comment this back out just so we can use it for future reference. So now let's go ahead and test this out. So we're going to close this terminal. We're going to open a new one. Go back here. And we're just going to run it again to make sure that this works. Start now, yes. 300 for the width. 1080 for the height. And there we go. So it opened our MEXC, clicked on open order, and clicked on open leverage. So now here we need to have it set our leverage. And this is where it can become, you got 2 options on what you can do here. You can either click, like let's say you want to click on 100x, you can have it click, or you can have it click here and then type, right? You can have, if it's going to work, you might have to do a double click. But you can also type, so the bot knows how to type too. So for me, I just did clicking actions because it seems to be the easiest. The only thing here is, let's say you're using a specific leverage like 17x. It's kind of hard to figure out where to click, and your clicking area is very tiny. So in that case, it's almost easier to type it in. So you would click, then you would have it click here, and then you'd have it type 17. But in this case, there's a 1 here. So I don't know. Me personally, I'm just kind of leaving this as a click. Now, if you're smart, one thing you can do is before you run the bot, you can actually set all this stuff so you don't have to worry about it. You can just set it by hand. So if I know that I'm running 10x on my strategies, I can just set my 10x leverage by hand. That way, I don't even have to have the bot open this and click it. It's just going to stay at 10x. So it's a step that we can actually remove, right? So in this case, for this video, I'm just going to be running it at 1x for our testing. There's no reason for the bot to actually have to go in here and change that. I can just set it manually. So it saves us some steps. So let's go ahead and actually remove this last function here. Cool. Now I also like to comment where it's clicking. So instead of click somewhere, this could be click open order. This one here can be click MEXC tab. And then we know that this is just a pause, so we can remove those. That doesn't matter. Cool. And now we're going to have a click on some other things. So now we need to decide if we're going to do a limit or a market order. So in this case, I'm doing a market order. And let's go ahead and have it just go all in on our position size. Okay, so now I need to go into here, rerun our coordinates. And to kind of speed things up here, guys, until we get into the typing, I'm just going to do this very quickly because it's just the same process over and over. So for our market, we'll set this to 16, 15, and 343. 16, 15, 343. Cool. Now that that's set up, let's go ahead. So now that we have a market order, I need it to click on 100%. And the coordinates for that is going to be 1892 and 503. 1892, 503. So setting this up is probably the longest and most complicated process. It really only takes like 10 minutes, but obviously when you're explaining it on a YouTube video, it takes a lot longer. But once you get your coordinates set up, you never have to come in and set this up again, which as long as you've saved your file, Control S to save or file, and there's a save button up here. After every line of code, I always do a save. Okay. Once it's set up, it's good. You never have to set this up again. You just run it, set up your signals, make sure that your chart is flush and flat and doing everything it's supposed to, and you're good to go. So it takes you like a minute every day to turn on the bot. It's just this initial setup, getting the coordinates, that takes time. So that's open order. This one's going to be click market order. This one's going to be click 100% account balance. And we'll get into typing in a minute because I know some of you guys have to type on your exchanges, so we'll get into that. So now that that's all set, I'm just going to have it click this open long button, which is sitting at 1625 and 700. $16.25 and what did I say, 700? I think that sounds right. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So now that we have all this set up, that should be everything we need to actually place an order. You guys can see it's not very much code. There's not much you guys have to do, nothing very complicated about it. So now we're going to run this, go back to Trading View, open up our bot, run, yes, 300 for our width, 1080 for our height, and just like that, it's going ahead, setting market, and placed our order. So as you guys saw here, one of the problems you can have with clicking when you're dealing with something like this, you can see when it clicked, it set it to 99% instead of 100 because I was off by a hair. So all you do is obviously go in, retweak that, move it over a little bit. Or if you have an exchange that actually lets you type a percentage amount, like 50%, 25%, then obviously it would be better for you to type something in rather than clicking. So we got that order open, which is awesome. So now that it's open, what about setting a take profit and a stop loss? And this is where we're going to start getting into typing and obviously setting up our risk management. So once the order's open, then we have a button down here called add for our take profit and stop loss. So I'm going to get the coordinates of that real quick. And as that's loading, let's make sure everything's good on the YouTube. Sometimes they like to shut us down. Yeah, I'll show you how to bring the bot back to TradingView. So before we do that, let's quickly go over our take profit and our stop loss, because that's really important. So here's something you guys need to remember. Let's say your strategy does not have a stop loss and a take profit. Let's just say it longs until you get a short signal, and it just switches between long, short, long, short, long, so on and so forth. If you have a strategy like this, let's say you open the long and your computer gets turned off. Because your computer gets turned off, it could be a power outage, it could be your battery died, it could be you just turned it off and forgot you were running the bot. If you turn off your computer and you have no stop loss or take profit, this AI is not running anymore. And if it's not running anymore, guess what that means? It's not managing your signals anymore, right? So I highly suggest you guys put some sort of take profit or stop loss, a worst case scenario, just in case you fall asleep, your battery dies, your computer shits the bed, your Wi-Fi goes out, anything of that nature. That way you don't run into this problem. But most people do run their strategies with some sort of a stop loss and a take profit, so you should be fine. But just keep in mind, if your computer turns off, it's not going to know what to do with the positions anymore because it can't actually see your chart and figure out what's going on. This is something I'm going to fix in the future. I will eventually use an API where I can web scrape the price and run off a server. But for now, I mean, this is very basic. So for our take profit and stop loss, again, I need to just get the coordinates real quick. So I needed to click this little button here, which is 11:05 and 10:28. And once it's clicked that button, then we need it to actually, this is where we're going to get into typing now. This is where we're actually going to type in our take profit and stop loss because we can't necessarily click. So the easiest way for me to do this is I normally do ROE, which is a return on your investment, right? So in this case, I want to sell when our trade is up 10% profit. So you could actually click and then click 10. You could do that too. Or you could type it in manually. In this case, we're going to type it in manually just so I can show you guys how that function actually works. So what we need it to do is, first off, click on this box here. This box is going to be at 1100 and 450. How's the audio? Is everything okay, guys? You can still hear me properly? Now, once it's clicked that box, now we need to get into typing. So for typing, you have your example over here that you guys can use. So the way this is going to work, very, very, very simple. I'm going to comment that out again. We're going to paste this after it's done the click. And here it knows that it's typing. You're feeding it a text, and then you're just going to type in whatever the text is here. So if your take profit is 10%, you're just going to type in 10. If your take profit's 50%, you type in 50. Or, yeah, that's 150, but 50. You guys get the point, right? So whatever you put in this field here is what it's actually going to type out for you. In this case, let's set it to 10. I'm just going to change all this here. So this is going to be click, take profit, input box. This one's going to be click, stop loss, and take profit. This one's going to be click. 100% balance. And this one here is going to be click, place order. So now we got all of our notes updated so we know where our coordinates are. And then here we're just going to do type take profits, which equals 10%, right? Pretty simple. Same thing, after you type, you need to make sure you actually set a duration. I set that to a second as well. And that's going to be it for our take profit. Now for our stop loss, we're going to do the same thing. But if you type in your take profit, let's say you do 10, keep in mind that because it added this extra text down here that was not there before, it actually pushes these other boxes down a little bit. So there's going to be new coordinates after that's typed in, right? So in this case, you type it in first, then you go ahead and measure your next box. So this box over here is going to be at 1095 and we'll say 610. So we need to do a click. 1095 and 610. Same thing, I'm going to type in a 10% stop loss. There we go. That's pretty much copy paste. We'll switch take profits to stop loss. And take profit, we'll just put stop loss input box. And I think we're done. Let me just double check. Oh, then we need the confirm button. So the confirm button over here is going to be 11:25 and 7:40. $11.25 and 7:40. Boom. So let's make sure all of this is working properly, but that should be everything that we need. We can now go ahead, place an order. Again, you can have the bot set your leverage manually or set the leverage itself, but anything that you can do to prevent confusion, I just suggest you do it. If you can set your leverage by hand and you know your leverage is not going to change, there's no reason to get the bot to do that every time. It's just more stuff it has to click. It's more things you have to watch out for. So just set that in manually yourself. Same with market order. You don't even have to click market order with the bot. You can just click that yourself every day when you open up your exchange. Before you turn on the bot, set your leverage, set market order. Now, and even set open. So now all you have to have it do is click the tab, click 100%, click open long. So now you got to click 3 things instead of 5 or 6, right? So try to find the best way for yourself to optimize this. And I shouldn't have to say this, but again, when you're first setting this up, don't fucking use all of your money. Like, get used to this thing for at least a week. Make sure it's set up properly, because I'll show you something. Let's say even on Mexi, you scroll down like this. See how you can scroll? If you scroll, it changes all the coordinates of everything it's clicking. So even if your screen's down just like this, that little bit, all the coordinates are now wrong. So you need to make sure at the start of every day that your screen is flush all the way up at the top. It's not scrolled down. You're not zoomed in, right? Keep it at a standard point that you can copy paste. Hopefully that didn't just screw us up. I think we're at 90%, so we should be good. So now let's go ahead and test this out. Make sure it's working properly. We actually have an error somewhere. Oh, here. If you ever get an error on this box and it says that this was not closed, check for all of these commas. If you're missing a comma at the end of these lines, it's going to throw that error. So I'm missing a comma down here. Put that in. And looks like we're missing another one. Yeah, right here as well. Cool. Fixes all the issues. So now we're going to save this, run, and let's see if it places the order for us. So I'm going to do run bot. Yes. 300, 1080, and let's let it go. So we did pretty good, other than we messed up on that confirm box. And again, it's probably because when I type this in, after you click off of it, this is going to update with text. So kind of push that button down a little bit. So all we need to do is actually go ahead and get the new coordinates of that button. But other than that, I mean, it looks like we're pretty good, guys. So 1120, and we'll do 780. 1120, 780. Yeah, it's off by a little bit. Cool. So now that we know that that's working, we had a gentleman, Vitter, asked, okay, so once you get this set up, how do you actually bring it back to TradingView? Well, once you have confirmed your stop loss and your take profit, then all you're going to do is just click back on your tab again. That's it. So we just got to get the coordinates of the TradingView tab. But there's something really important that you need to watch out for. So we're going to get the coordinates of our tab, which is 175 and 20. So we're going to put that in. Click TradingView. And now let's run the bot front to back again, make sure everything's working. I'm going to close out this order. And let's let it run. Uh, 300, 1080, cool. Let's place the long position. It's setting our take profit and our stop loss. Boom. And now we're back to TradingView. And just like that, it's done its full cycle, right? And that's, guys, that's as simple as it is to set up this bot. I know this video is a little bit long, obviously, because I have to sit here and explain it to you guys, but it's really simple and really straightforward. The only problems that can happen is it's all your fault. Any problems that can be caused will not be caused by the bot. The bot's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's going to be either you had your coordinates at a different spot, or maybe you scrolled your screen the wrong way, or your computer turned off, or your Wi-Fi turned off, or anything of that nature. But if you have a strategy that has a stop loss and a take profit, even if my computer turns off right now, it's fine because my bot is put in the stop loss and the take profit. So I have pretty much nothing to worry about, which is really cool. So now, what you guys will notice is as it came back to TradingView, and this is what's really important because we're not totally done. When we came back to TradingView, it didn't pick up on another signal. So it ran through this whole loop and then it stopped. So this program is only set to is only set to find one signal at a time. And I did this purposely because if we let this run in a loop, what it's going to do is it's going to finish placing that order. It's going to see that same signal again, and it's going to go back, and it's going to keep placing that order and over and over and over, even though you don't have any money to even put in because you went all in. But let's say you had a strategy that added $100 every hour or whatever. It's just going to keep reading that signal and keep placing it in over and over and over and over and over, which is a problem, right? Because you only wanted to put in one entry per signal. So this is something I haven't figured out yet. So if you're doing... It's going to come out in the next update for sure, because it's the most important thing that we kind of need to figure out. If you're doing multiple transactions of like $100 per one of these signals, we need to now teach the AI to understand signals that it's already taken. Okay, so I think what I'm going to end up doing is for every signal that comes on the chart, I'm going to end up putting text. And that it'll be like A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to learn how to read A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it sees a green signal with A, but it's already got in on a green signal with A, or it sees a red signal with R, and it's already got in on a red signal with R, then it won't take it. But as of right now, it's just taking one signal. So this is going to work really well to give you guys examples of strategies that even we use. So let's take the example of our Bollinger Band strategy, right? The number one complaint I hear about people that don't use our long-term strategies is not that they don't make you money. It's just that you don't really know when the signals are coming in. So you're sitting there forever waiting for a signal, and it's like almost impossible to automate because you just can't sit there and watch it all the time, right? So in this case, this is something that if you don't see the signal during the day and you don't get an alert during the day, you can just leave it running overnight and it will just take that one trade. Because when it gets into a trade, we're on the 4-hour time frame here. So you guys can see the results right now. I mean, it's doing pretty phenomenal. It's outperforming buy and hold by a landslide. We got some better settings here as well. If we turn off all those, I believe this goes to 12, 13. Yeah, there you go. So it's up 13,000% over the last 3 years or so, right? Amazing strategy, but the number one reason that people didn't use it was just because they didn't know how to automate it and it was super hard. So the bot that we have here will work really, really well because it's only opening one signal, and a lot of these signals take 4 to 8 hours to play out. But the difficulty you're going to have here is sometimes when the signals get squeezed, right? So the good news is the bot is also trained to only look for one signal at a time, the most recent signal. So if we run this, this is the only part I didn't show you guys. These other two buttons here show boxes and show single signals. These are just back testing. It doesn't run any bot. It's just there for you to see what the bot is looking at before you run it. So you guys can see we got tons of buys and sells all over this 4-hour chart. But if I click show single signal, yes, we're going to just run the full screen in this case. So we'll do 1920, 1080. Cool. If we run this whole thing, you guys can see that it's actually only picked up on the most recent sell signal. It's not picked up on any of the other sell signals. It's just looking from the right side of the screenshot, looking for the first color of red, and bada boom, bada bing, you're good to go. For some reason, it's not looking at the buy signal. I might have to fix that because it was working, but I did a bunch of updates last night, so maybe that's not working anymore. Let's see. Or I have the wrong colors on this strategy, most likely. Bet you it's the wrong colors. Yeah, it's just the wrong color of the green. So let's go ahead, change this color. What's the one we used here? Yeah, there we go. 00FF00, that's the color green that the bot is picking up on. There we go. So now we're using the correct color of green. Let's go ahead and run this now. So like I said, the bot is very, very good at color detection. You can see that that green was nearly identical to what the bot was picking up on, but it was not the perfect one, so it didn't take it. So we'll do 1920, 1080, and there we go. Now you can see it's picking up on the buy signal, but it's ignoring all the other ones. So the bot will look specifically for the most recent signals, but it doesn't mean it won't just keep taking that signal over and over and over. So that's why we're running one loop. So in the next update, I'm going to have it set up so you can have the bot loop over and over and over, and it will keep looking for the signals. If you guys just want it to do this anyways, if you're going in with 100% of your account balance, you're going to have no problem, because all it's going to do is just keep trying to place in an order, but you have no money to place in an order. So it's just going to click open long and nothing's going to happen. You're just going to click it. It's just going to say you don't have money. So nothing's going to happen. You're not going to be at risk. It's not going to affect anything. It's just not going to be able to place the order. It's just going to stay stuck in the loop of placing the order. But again, you might get a message from your exchange, hey, why are you placing 400,000 orders in a single day when you don't even have money to place an order, right? So that's not fair to the exchange, and it's also going to get you flagged as well at some point, I assume. So that's why we're running one loop. But in the next update, we'll go ahead and fix that. So I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. I mean, it's been a while. I think we've covered everything that needs to be covered. Before we kind of wrap it all up, does anyone have any other questions, suggestions? Everything should be in the Discord here. What I'll do is, if you guys are using Mexi here, if you're using Mexi, I'll repaste this whole code. Actually, no, I won't. I just need to make sure you guys have the pause duration. So I'm going to remove all this for now. Send that to a message to myself. Just going to post the new code with the duration. Cool. And like I said, as we get farther on into the progression of this bot, eventually it's going to be able to read sizes of candles, understand what tabs it's opening. Instead of clicking stuff, you can actually feed it the information of the tabs so it can read the title. That way, if you guys have 50 tabs open and knows to open up TradingView, it can just read it and be like, okay, this is TradingView. Eventually, it's going to be able to measure out candles by itself. It's going to do a lot of cool stuff. But this is just the most basic version to run whatever strategy you want. At least we have something, right? Because we've been waiting for automation for like 2 years, and just every exchange that we, like KuCoin, they got KYC banned, so everyone stopped using KuCoin, and then they finally got a spot or a futures API, and now we're on Mexi, but they only have a spot API, no futures, and it's been so long waiting for a bot. I had to put something out, so at least we got something we can work with now. And then here we didn't do any sell actions, right? So now you guys, everything you would do for the longs, you would just go back in and do the same thing for the sell. That's it. So instead of clicking the long button, you're going to go in, you're going to click the short, and then you're going to click the open short, and then you're going to click the add order. If you have multiple orders going at once, this isn't really going to work either. So unfortunately, one of the downsides of this bot, it's only really going to be good at managing one order. Because let's say I open one long order here, and then we open up one short order. When you go to set the stop loss and the take profit, this is where your main problem is going to be. Because once you put in the long, yeah, it's going to put in the stop loss and the take profit. But once you put in, actually, no, you'll be fine with the short. Never mind, you should be able to place multiple orders. I was thinking what would happen is the long would stay up here and it would put the short below it, but no. So you should be good there as well. So scratch that, never mind. You should be able to put in multiple orders and they should all be managed properly. But I think that's going to be it, gents. Gents and gentiles. Let me just clean all this up one sec. Move this bad boy. Move this bad boy. And I can give you guys an example strategy if you want that has all of the color-coded signals, and then you can just change the conditions to whatever you want. And all of our strategies that we have, they're all going to get flipped. So like the Holy Grail is going to get these signals, the Universe Complex is going to get these signals, all the Bollinger Band strategies, everything, I'm going to update all of them. So they're going to get working signals with the bot. All you guys have to do is put in the coordinates. It should match the color codes that we already have available. And I'm going to remove that. And we'll remove this too. Cool. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Doesn't look like there's any questions, but if you guys do have them, feel free to email me, tradeaverse@gmail.com, or you guys can Discord me right here. Join the Discord. It's free. There's a link in the description of this video, and if not, there is a link in the live feed. So thank you guys very much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.